Hello, this is Michael Garrett with the PoppinCulture podcast. My guest today is Kendrey Bingley. He's the host of the DANPA podcast. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yep.
Me and Dre been friends for a long time. He's a great guy. Well, at the PoppinCulture podcast, we're all about pop culture and the people that love it. When you think of pop culture, what comes to your mind, or what moments, movies, anything that comes to your mind when you think of pop culture?
Well, when I think of pop culture, I don't really think about movies. I think more about music, and I think more about like art. Like that type of stuff really brings to mind when I think pop culture.
Because it 100% is. I agree. What are some artists that you think truly influence pop culture?
As of right now, man.
Or anytime.
Okay, well, of any time, we can bring something like James Brown.
Of course.
James Brown is an important one. A pop culture, shoot, Michael Jackson. You can even go Jay-Z, Beyonce. You can do any of them, and not just. I'm bringing up blacks, but not just them either. There's so many different, genres of music that just brings light to me, if that makes sense.
Shining a light on James Brown, when it came to pop culture, and when it comes towards music, do you think his influence was stretched down to other artists also? Because I believe he definitely stretched his hand down to a lot of other artists throughout the time.
I believe he was a big inspiration in growing so many artists. Yeah.
Yeah. Without saying, of course, you mentioned Michael Jackson. We know how many people like he touched with his music and influenced with his music. What were you saying?
No, I'm just doing Michael Jackson.
Oh. And he made it sound cool. Like, he was one of the few people, like, you heard a few comedians make jokes about it, but like, he was the only one that could. I think he's probably the only artist who can get away with that, and no one would be like, oh man, why does he keep doing that?
He's the only one. I can't remember the name of the music video, but he's the only one I know made millions from chasing a woman down the street with his boys. I cannot think of that song.
I'm thinking of like a bunch of 70s and 80s music videos with people chasing girls down the street.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of stabbing.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think Billy Joel might have did that also.
Probably.
Yeah. He also definitely influenced music very well. When it comes to, like, you mentioned Jay-Z, when you think of like rappers that really pushed the wave of not just pop culture, but I guess music culture, do you think, I know of course we think of Jay-Z, but is anybody else that comes to mind?
When it comes to pushing the wave of rap.
Or just music in general, if we could. But yeah, rap in that category, yes.
Okay, well, see, like, my brain just goes everywhere with that. But, like, even Mac Miller, R.I.P., most of his music was, I wouldn't say inspirational. It was just, it's deep. And a lot of music of that genre, it really, I feel like it pushes the envelope because it's not afraid to speak out, whether it be, oh goodness, J. Cole,
The GOAT.
Whether it be something political, something racial, something whatever, the people need to hear that. They really need to understand that it's, if you don't got money, it's tough. It really is tough out here. And I think that's one of the things when it comes to music, it hits you. Because with a movie, with most movies, they already come up with a story. It's already a story behind it. It already, that's just what the movie is. But when it comes to music, although they have like their own music videos and stuff like that, when you sit in a car and you hear something like J. Cole, or when you hear something like, I'll go back to Jay-Z, Kanye West, Lil Dicky, if anyone listens to that.
Of course.
You listen to them, and your own universe, your own brain, your own mind comes up with something completely different than what they envision, and especially with music, it is beautiful that you can do that.
Yeah, I agree completely with you. To go back to Mac Miller, he was very ahead of his time, I believe. To think he came from, Kool-Aid and frozen pizza to like his future music, and it's just like you saw the evolution
Yeah.
and just seeing where he could have been. Even with J. Cole, like I think J. Cole even has way more. Just the fact that he won Grammys without having anyone featured on the album, it definitely a lot of momentum.
Oh, and Childish Gambino.
Of course. He actually just had another child. This is be his third. I believe he just had a son.
Third. Oof.
Yeah. When it comes to older rap music, do you think that we've become more light, or do you think we still have a strong I think rap is like evolved because it's definitely not the same rhyme schemes. I would say it has become more deeper. Like we're not like I went to the spot and then I jumped over the spot and then it's more like deeper rap. Do you think is loosely going back to that with the mumble rap, or do you think it's staying the same? Or you think it's steadily evolving, or we're going backwards?
Okay, if I'm to be honest, and hopefully that's okay. Rap now, I'm not going to say sucks, but it's trying to live a reality that old rap did. Old rap like Tupac, Biggie, Snoop Dogg, the things they rapped about from their history and reading up things and just knowing who they were, to the public, they meant shit. Okay? But all these little whatever or trippy whatever, all this mess, I believe that they're trying to chase after something, like they're trying to get hard or something, and I hate that. Because I mean, I'm not saying if you're not doing anything, don't be like, hey, rapping. I don't rap, but rapping, I ain't doing nothing but eating a bowl of cereal, some crap like that. But, chasing, bitches and hoes ain't, I mean, I don't believe they doing that. So, I don't know. I just feel like now it's just not real. The only thing that really gets somebody is just the hook.
True. I can definitely see that. When it comes to let's stay on topic of mumble rappers, do you feel like that's something that's going to come and go, or do you think they'll stick around? Excuse me.
It just depends on who wants to do it. I don't see anything dying out. Depending on the era, because the way that people rap or sing or mumble right now was completely different back in the 80s and 90s.
True.
It might just evolve. Next thing would just be blip, 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 blip,
I remember reading where even Snoop Dogg said, he was like, I guess because of the beat, he actually like went into that mumble state, and he was like, no, I can't put this out there, like that's not me. But staying on the topic of music, how do you feel about rock and roll? Do you feel like that's also evolving? I feel like it comes in phases, which I'm a big fan of late 90s, early 2000s, like punk rock. Like I think that came and went. I'm not sure if it'll make a strong comeback, but I feel like that was a great time in rock. But I do like punk rock. Do you feel like that type of music comes in like phases, or do you think it's pretty much over and gone?
Again, it just depends on who the artist is, man. I don't think anything's ever gone. It just, whenever it hits them.
True. That's right. If you got the right artist, they can definitely. You're right. What Drake does, J. Cole can't do, and what J. Cole does, Drake can't do. So I understand. Everybody has their own lane. That makes sense. Going into more deep pop culture, when it comes to R&B and soul, do you like now or do you like previous? Like,
that's kind of a hard one because I don't really listen to soul or R&B now because it's not better than the old.
I first thought it was like dirtier, and then I definitely listened to some old stuff, and it was just as dirty, if not dirtier.
When we're talking about old stuff, like, are we talking about like early 2000s in the 90s? Like when we talk about early here,
I'm talking about. Well, I guess we can go with anything 90s and back.
Okay. Well, still, I mean, that's I don't know. You say that, but then think of R. Kelly.
True.
You know, a lot of his stuff and record shows that he can, when he wants to be dirty, he can.
True. That's very true. In song and in real life too.
Yeah.
He man, Step into Love will never be the same.
Step, legal age.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so sad. And it seems like a lot of our so-called heroes are actually monsters. You know.
Yeah.
So you reference music and art. Do you have a favorite artist that you think like artwork has like stood the test of time, or still painting or drawing, whatever the artwork is?
You know, I don't. I don't have a favorite artist that I enjoy or that I can bring up from the top of my head, but I know what type of illustrations I do like, and it's going to be like pretty much the ones that no one understands. But I feel like, just like I said, when it comes to music, art also gives you some type of, well, what do you think that is type of thing. My biggest thing, especially when it comes to art or music, is knowing the history behind it. And I feel like even with your show, Pop Culture, that's something that's really interesting, or would be interesting for me to even watch, because, you know, all these eras, all these years, all these different things that happen into our own culture. I mean, this is America culture. This is what brought you and me up right now to even talk in these mics. This is what we're talking about, you know? And, you know, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My previous guest was also a mailman, and Trey, you're a mailman. We discussed a little bit of that pop culture within mailmen, of like ways televised and ways introduced. I asked him, and I'll ask you, do you feel like with other competition, with other like real companies coming in, do you feel like it's driving the postal service out, or do you think the steady competition is good?
You know, Mike, I think God hates me. And I feel like because he hates me so much, that the post office will never die.
Please explain.
Okay. People need their mail. And I feel like people also love to piss me off. And when you have both of those factors in there, that means I have a job. And money's good, job's great, life, whatever. But the post office will never disappear. Not until you eventually find some type of way where every single thing, every document, etc. needs to be, you know, electronic. It's never going to die.
Okay. Okay, that makes total sense. Another thing I would like to ask, on your route, I'm sure you're accustomed to not just dropping off mail, but you know a few people on your route, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel like with other companies, such as Amazon, I know for one, they're very dedicated to delivering with drones. Do you think delivering with drones could run out the person experience of someone delivering the mail like a human being? Or do you think drones are the way to go in the future?
I believe it would be interesting to see a drone carry a refrigerator or a microwave or a toaster over a busy street. I think it would be nice to see a drone do great in the most worst weather possible. I think drones suck. I think what we're trying to do is even evolve the way that we do the delivering service, and that's retarded. You know, I'm not saying that you should not want to change and upgrade things of delivery, but screw that, man. No, keep it as it is.
Yes.
Just do better with your carriers.
You definitely don't want anybody to lose their job. I think Walmart was one of the big companies where...
You say nobody, what do you mean? When you say no, you mean like the drones take our jobs?
Yeah, nobody wants to lose their job. But like, don't substitute the drones for people that've been there and done their time.
Drones can take the supervisor's jobs, manager's jobs, postmaster jobs. I'll listen to a robot. I'm not going to listen to no.
That's what I mean. You don't want. I mean, in theory, you wouldn't want anyone to lose their job for technology. What I was going to say was Walmart with the self-checkout lines. Like, what I've read in an article from like maybe 3 years ago, they made sure that they would keep their jobs when they didn't have self-checkout. I don't know if they kept that in line, but I do remember reading that on, I think, MSN. So if that did become a thing where drones happen, what position do you think they would give you guys so you wouldn't lose your job? Or you don't think they would have one in line?
Well, I mean, if Amazon is going to take drones, I get it when it comes to packages, but I don't see if it's, unless, like I said before, if it's going to be like, make everything electronic, I don't see a drone delivering mail, even if it's like a robot type drone, human shape, whatever.
Yeah, that would probably cost more than just paying a regular human in the long run.
Yeah.
The last thing about being a mailman with pop culture, you guys like have great, I guess, commercials, or, they're presented very well culturally. Do you feel like they could be represented better, or do you think everything is pretty good the way it is?
We're still kicking.
I wish I could remember who said this, but thank God you guys aren't the mailman. I mean, aren't the milkman. Because there's no more milk. Yeah.
I don't know where the fuck that came from.
I'm trying to remember who said it, but it's a good reference. It's just like if you're mad that you have a job, it's like you could be the milkman, and now the milkman doesn't have a job anymore. So something about unemployment. You ever heard somebody try to be deep, but they're not being deep enough? That's what that saying sounds like.
I think I just experienced it.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So we discussed it, the art, music, and you said one more thing. I believe you said that pop culture when it comes to mind, not movies, but art, music, and I believe you said poetry.
No, but we can hit the topic.
Okay. Do you have like I guess a favorite poet at all, or someone that comes to mind?
Someone that comes to mind, Shakespeare. Poetry though, it's not really poetry, but it's going kind of like back to music, because I feel like a lot of music is like the now poetry. Does that kind of make sense? No?
I think just because there's so many poets out there, I don't want to ever like discredit them.
Oh, I will.
Okay.
I mean, you're just writing it. Just one is singing and rapping it, while the other one's Romeo, roses, green, whatever.
One has to stay on beat, the other one just has to talk. I got you. But as you were saying about poetry and music.
Well, no. The reason why I don't like, or I wouldn't say, or just keep poetry just in the poetry, is because there is good poetry. There's actually this one place in Columbia. It's called Coffee Underground, and I can't remember if it's like
in Greenville.
Did I say Columbia? Yeah, Greenville. It's what is it? It's in Greenville.
Yeah, Greenville, South Carolina. It's a very nice coffee spot and great venue.
And they have a purple door, and when you see that purple door, normally it means that it's something that's going on, whether it be, I don't know, some joke night, but a lot of times it's poetry night. And I remember the first time ever going there, it was me and a couple of my immature friends. We were like 16, 17 then. We went to go sit down, and there was this one dude, and he just had his hands up just like that. And the dude just came up, and he had no paper, no nothing. He just put his hands down, and he just goes, "I am a hoe." And everyone in there was just like, "Oh, yeah. yeah, that's good. And me and my friends was just like, what the fuck was this? Like, what? But then, I mean, I'm not going to go into depth with it, but he just continued to talk about, his whole life and how he has sinned and how he had did all these wrongs. And I don't know. I feel like if someone had said that, like, I don't know, Cardi B or something like that, it would have done better than how the grown ass man was trying to say it in poetry. Like, I feel like I couldn't take him seriously, maybe because poetry's not my thing, I don't know, but I couldn't take him seriously because all I could think of was his first line. It's like if you started off with something better, like, I think life is good, and then go on to that, then I could kind of see where you're going for. But when you go in there, or any type of place, because I mean, there's some places in Colombia too where it's poetry and it's dark. It's I wouldn't say mysterious. It's just so the ambience of it, poetry. And then you have someone say some crap like that, and now it's a comedy. I don't know. I feel like music-wise, it would have been better.
That is one way to start, though. Yeah. Gotta start out the gate hard. Was the rest of the poem okay?
No.
Oh. Rough night. That is, yeah, I can imagine just sitting there just being like, man, this is going to be deep. And then you start with I'm a hoe. And all right, let's see where this roller coaster takes us. So for our listeners, would you like to tell them a little bit about DANPA, like your podcast?
Yeah, I'm doing a show on podcast and also YouTube called DANPA Chat. It's really, well, the Instagram is DANPA Studios, but trying to do a talk show slash, I wouldn't really say journalism. It's more like personal, just what ifs or what would I do, or just random stories about my life. And I don't know, just something to have fun, something to get the post office out my mind.
You really hate them that much?
So DANPA.
They'll get better, buddy, I promise.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to say to your fans?
I got fans. Well, thanks.
Well, thank you again for coming on the PoppinCulture podcast. Thank you guys for listening, and have an amazing day.